for your own self, is working on your own mind, working on your own body and your health and everything. And Shakeology, obviously, to, be proof of the product and get your meal in and everything. So this is for yourself. And then the next set of section is working on your own business. And then the next section is helping your team and their business and your current challengers. So, and I broke this down for like my day personally. I know everyone is, you might do your workout at night if that works better for you or whatever, but I personally try to focus on myself in the morning first and doing all of that. And then I go into working on my own business. So I'll post on social media, which is pretty self-explanatory, cleaning out my inbox on Facebook, Instagram, and my email. So responding to the messages that came in the day before, expand on business by ending, doing Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure you guys know how to actually invite. I know Marie, has all of that down. So just getting in however you do your invites. 531 and connecting. That's 531 is just an Instagram term of like liking 5 photos, commenting on 3, and following that person or reaching out to them. And then connecting, I just have listed there of like just reconnecting and talking to people, but not necessarily like inviting them, or people you had as new ads that you haven't got to a point to invite them yet, but you check their pages and liking, comment, and stuff like that. So just kind of re-engaging with the people that you have on your Facebook friends and stuff. Following up, so that's obviously another no-brainer. Reaching out, following up with people who you've invited, following up with people who have said no the past month, tracking your names down. I keep track of names, people who say no, people who I'm in mid-conversation with, and I don't want them to get lost. I keep them on my contact list. So yeah, definitely following up is huge. And then checking in your group. So in your challenge group, your coach group, whatever else, that should actually be, I should actually switch this, because that kind of goes into like helping your challengers and your team. So I'm going to switch those two. And then going into saying individual happy birthdays to people. I do private message, adding new people to expand my network. So searching friends of friends, different groups that I'm in. I know you guys kind of know that. And then reaching out to the new people who have accepted my friend request. So if you go to your friends list, you can see who was recently added. And I just go through and just thank them for accepting my friend request. And if they respond, I track their names so that I can do the connecting stuff with them over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully an invite can come naturally. And then, so this is, just to reiterate, this is me working on my own self. And then all of these are, and then messaging people who like your post from the previous day. And then all of these are building my own business. So I start with building myself, and then I work on building my new business, bringing in new people. And then I switch gears and start working with my challengers and my coaches. You've probably heard this, but you should spend, depending on where you are in your business, if you're a brand new coach, you should, be working on yourself and then spending 100% of your time in this phase working on building your business, your own business. If you're an emerald, you should probably be spending 90% of your time doing this, and maybe 10% of your time working with your coaches. If you're a diamond and above, it should be like an 80-20. I probably do like a 60-40 or a 70-30. So maybe like 60 to 70% of the time working on my own business, and then the 30 to 40% helping my team work on their business. So I have it set up that way, but I need to pour into myself first, and then I need to lead by example. I can't talk to my coaches and say, you need to get your invites in, or you need to be following up and doing all of that if I haven't done that myself. Obviously some days, but if you have a call in the morning or whatever, but I try to do all my calls like after and afternoon, once I get through my own stuff. But obviously that depends on your work schedule and whatnot. But anyway, so checking in your groups, challenge group, coach groups, free groups you're running, whatever. But I feel like a lot of people live in the groups, and that's actually something that's can be a good and a bad thing. So I just recommend that you do all of these things first before you play around in your challenge groups and your coach groups and watch all the YouTube videos and all of that stuff. There's obviously a lot of good knowledge and stuff to learn in your coach group and all of that, but you need to, that's social time a lot of the time. You need to actually be working on your own business. And then I check in on my online office, just, my customer orders, any of the news and alerts, my sponsorship drill down, and my genealogy, and any of my leads. And more of this stuff would be at least 3 and 4 if you're an emerald or above, kind of tracking that stuff. And then I do check-ins with my coaches and my challengers. I don't check in with all of my coaches every single day, but I do use like the graphical genealogy and the sponsorship drill down to kind of see who I should be talking to and whatnot, or if I have calls or anything. And then checking in one-on-one with my challengers. And again, that's not every single day that I check in privately with them. Kind of depends on the person. And then the last one is just recognition. So, giving shout outs to your challengers in the group, publicly, privately, and then also your own coaches in your groups and whatnot. So I try to give at least, a couple shout outs a day to people who are doing great things. So, yeah, that's kind of it of how I break it down. And then another thing is so since I am full-time now, I'll just kind of give you guys, and this I kind of need to update, and I'm not 100% with it all the time, but I know I need to have some sort of structure. And like I said, I'm not every single day being the best at sitting into these time frames, but this really helps me. And you can kind of see how it's broken down, that in the morning I spend time on myself, and then I have my chunk of building my own business, and then my afternoon is more of the online office and challengers and whatnot. And obviously, you won't have to do, depending on your schedule and how much time you want to put in and stuff. I am at this point full time, so I have more time to dedicate to it and stuff. But I typically don't do anything now past 5:30, whereas unless I'm doing calls like this, but I usually only once a week. But when I first started, obviously a huge chunk of all of this was before and after work. But having some sort of routine written out is helpful. If you don't have to get into the actual set times, but at least knowing what you're going to do in each time frame. And I'll just show you one really quickly, because one of my coaches was just showing me hers, and she does work full time. Let me see. Oops. Maybe if I move this. Oh, there it is. Sorry, just 1 second. It's right here. Okay, let me just share my screen. So this was kind of her chunk. I kind of told her what I did when I was working full time. And so she kind of made up her own sheet of, 5:30 to 6 a.m., which is when I did my workout too, her personal development, and then checking in her challenge groups before she heads out for work. And then like me, she took the train to work. So she broke down, and it's about a 30, I guess it seems her commute's kind of longer. So she broke down the actual, what she would be doing in her commute, and then what she would be doing on a 30 minutes part of her lunch break, and then what she would be doing in her night session or her commute back home, and then her evening session. I think she must have, this is every other, because that's her commute's only a half hour or something, or 40 minutes. So yeah, just breaking it down if you work full time. So that's kind of all I have. And then the key to that is to consistently do it. So I was talking with one of my other coaches, and she was like, I've been awesome this week. I stuck with it. I was doing my schedule. I said the same thing to her. I'm like, now the key is to actually do that every single week and not just do it here and there. I mean, you brush your teeth every single morning because they get disgusting. If you just did it twice a week, then it would build up, and it would be disgusting. So it's kind of the same concept of the consistency and the routine of it. But that's all.
Awesome. That was really helpful, Amy. Thank you so much. And I loved the part about how you were talking about how treat it like a real business and not just when it's convenient. That is so huge. I know for myself, my dream was to be at home, and I recently resigned from teaching. I'm only part-time now, but I have a few weeks left. And now that I'm home with my kids, honestly, it's never convenient. Really, it's not. I mean, it's never convenient, but I know, and I remember when Pat said this, he was like, to be able to live the life that you want to live, you have to be willing to do what most people won't do. And most people, don't want to get up super early. And I've not watched TV in so long. I mean, my husband and I the other night, he's like, do you want to watch a movie? And I was like, it was so weird because I'm like, people do this, like, I was like, it's so weird to just see all these things that like people do that's kind of like really a waste of time, and you really throw away a lot of time in your day that you don't realize. And if you break it down, like Amy said, you can get so much done. And definitely treat it like a business. There's so many different people on this call that, you can be so overwhelmed with so many things. Like we're constantly throwing so much awesome information at you. But if you cut the fluff and you wake up, you drink your shakes, like she said, you do your personal development and you invite and do those things daily. And I think you said this before, Amy, it wasn't 10 apples on a Sunday. I think you said that once. It was an apple a day. So you can't go hard like one day and then get back to it when it's convenient. So definitely treating it like a business. And I do have one question for you because I know you probably need to get off, but what is one of the things that you could maybe share with us? Like, what do you do when it gets hard or you're not motivated? Like, what do you tell yourself or what do you do? Because I know for myself, I'm in a mental slump even though I'm still doing it, because for myself, I can't afford to fail. Like, that's not in my cards, but it's like, it hurts. You know what I mean? So what do you tell yourself when you're mastering the mundane or when it's not fun anymore, or, those feelings that you go through? How do you cope with that?
Yeah, so definitely I'm not like always like, yeah, I want to do my invite or I want to like sit down and stuff. And honestly, I think when I was working full time, I used to always think like, oh, it must be so nice to like be home and doing this full time. And like, I can't wait for that and stuff. And honestly, it was like a huge transition going full time because for the first like 6 months, I probably did less than I did when I was working full time in terms of productivity. Like I would sit there for 4 hours, but I would have all this time in the world. So I would scroll news feeds longer, or I would, get distracted more. And I didn't have that, like, I have to be out the door in an hour to catch the train, and I only have this hour right now. Whereas when you're home full time, it's like, oh, I have until forever. And then it's 6 o'clock and you're like, holy crap, where did the day go? So I think just definitely, take advantage of like the fact when you are full time to kind of like get that in that routine. But I definitely am not like always motivated and stuff, but I just kind of think about like the future and what I want and my why. And I think about that, and I'll just like remind myself of that whenever I feel like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. Or I'll go to YouTube and I'll type in something like Brendan Burchard or something of a video to like how to get motivated, or maybe like Melanie Mitro, and even just watching like 5 to 10 minutes of something that kind of like gets you going. That usually helps. And another thing I'll do is I'll kind of go off my script of the things in order that I'm supposed to be doing, like invites and stuff. I'll start with something like ease, like happy birthday, or adding new people, like something that's kind of like brainless, just to kind of get myself into it. So sometimes that will help. And then, yeah, like sometimes you don't always want to go to work, do you? But you do it anyway because you're going to get fired if you show up late all the time. So I kind of just use that mentality with myself that like, no, I want this, and this is a real job. And I have to, in my mind, think that like, if I don't show up on time for 3 days in a row, like I'm my own boss, but I'm going to start questioning myself type of thing. So I kind of kept in that employee mindset in regards to that. But just thinking big picture, watch 5 minutes of a YouTube video that's motivating just to kind of get things going, or start with an easy task, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely find myself doing that too. When I was teaching school, working in retail, teaching dance and fitness classes, and had a newborn baby, I tell myself like, now when I'm home, I could do 3 to 4 hours, really bang it out and have so much more financial stability and time with my family, and you can't really buy that back. So I kind of have that same mindset going. So awesome. Thank you. Does anyone else have a question for Amy? Anybody have a question while we have her?
And just to add to that, also, like, I'll play games with myself. Like, I'll be like, if I just do 10 invites, then I can watch that show, or I can go do this, or if I do it right now, then I don't have to do it later, or something like that. Or if I just focus for 1 hour and just do this hour, then, and it's like, think about your workouts too. Like, they always say, just do it for 5 minutes. And if like you can't get into it after 5 minutes, then, you know, tomorrow is a new day. So kind of thinking of it like that. But once you like get in it and like start, then that's the hardest part is always like starting something.
And the time goes by so fast too when you're in it.
Yeah. So like once you kind of like get in, sit down and start doing one task, it's easier to move. And same with like, you know, your fitness and whatever. If you're consistent working out 5 days, you know, 5 days, and then all of a sudden you take 7 days off, it's so much harder to start again, as opposed to just doing it like every day. So I think just kind of like thinking about that, just like getting yourself to start, and then it's easier, which is why I like doing like bigger chunks of time. If you have it, like a full hour, not just like 15 minutes here and there, because you're always stopping and starting, that it's like that whole process of like getting yourself to do it again. So
yeah. And that can be really overstimulating too. I was like that yesterday, and I thought like my mind was going to explode.
Yeah. If you
like,
do
the dishes, get the kids. Oh, what's, you know, whatever. And I was like,
And I understand like pockets of time, and like when you are a busy mom and, you know, you just have to deal with like the 15 minutes here and there. But I kind of like think about it like a workout. Like, what if you had to do your workout 4 times in the day for 15 minutes? Like, that would be so annoying, as opposed to just doing it for 1 hour straight. So kind of thinking of it like that. And then also giving yourself like a break of some sort. So like maybe you have 1 day of the week where you don't do any invites or follow-ups or whatever, and like you do it 6 days a week or something. So for me, like I try to hit my own quotas or goals Monday through Friday, so that come Saturday and Sunday, anything else that I do is like gravy on top, or I use that time to do like the fun things like making collages or free groups, or, you know, posting and things that are like more fun or whatever. So then come Monday, I've had that little break, just like your full-time job. You have Saturday and Sunday off for a reason. They know that if they worked you 7 days a week, you wouldn't be as productive, and you need that like refresher. So I don't take like the whole weekend off usually, but I use that time to do more of like the fun extra things.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I wanted to add to that too was I always tell myself I want to take naps because I get tired or I get overwhelmed, and I always tell myself like, can't build an empire from the couch. Or my sister used to say to me like, how are you going to build an empire if you're napping? Like, you know, how are you going to reach your goals, your fitness goals, if you're like, you know, not following through on your workout calendar and leading by example? So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amy. I really appreciate you taking your time to get on our call tonight. Any of my coaches, I know a couple of you want to get back on, because we're going to go over some daily tasks and break them down. So you guys can get back on the same link, and anybody else that would like to follow along for a little bit. And Amy, if you wouldn't mind, maybe if you get a chance, if you could PM me your what was it, your business activity tracker that you went over?
Yeah, sure.
And maybe your schedule, because I'm working on some scheduling with some of my newer coaches that work for currently, and that would be really awesome. So
sure.
Thank you guys for getting on. And my Boom Empire call next week, we won't have that because we will be at New Leader Conference. So you'll have a week off and extra time to do invites and all that fun stuff. So you guys have a great night, and see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.